So we told you guys earlier, although if you're watching the YouTube, different video, but if you're listening to this podcast, we told you guys earlier we're going to talk about some interesting Ultraman licensing news. So here we are with it. So Verizon, has a streaming service called Go90. You may have heard of Go90 in a more negative light because of the recent stuff with net neutrality. Which is actually kind of funny because people talk about these different streaming services because, just quick little side note about net neutrality. I'm sure many of you guys have been keeping up with it. But the reason why there was a little bit of controversy there with Verizon and other companies was because of the fact that, so basically, people were nervous with the net neutrality leaving that if you have a Verizon service, let's say, some kind of internet through Verizon or Verizon phone or something like that, then Verizon would slow down a service like Netflix or Crunchyroll and would push their service Go90, and that would have impeccable service, right? Like, oh, of course you can get on Go90, but you're trying to go on Crunchyroll and it would slow down to a crawl. That was the worry with net neutrality being repealed, and, obviously net neutrality, sadly, is not doing so hot right now. But, of course, the world hasn't been destroyed just yet. It's just the idea of what will the future look like. It's not like today, it's going to explode. Exactly. But this is something that is amazing for Go90 and for Ultraman fans, what I'm about to say. But it is a little problematic if Go90 ends up getting some shows that are on Crunchyroll. Or even if they don't get shows that are on Crunchyroll, not every Ultraman series is the same. So obviously, if something like this did happen, hypothetical, where Crunchyroll gets slowed down, now fans of Ultraman who have Verizon services can't see Crunchyroll's different Ultraman series and are stuck with these two. However, I'm not saying that in a negative light, like, oh, these two suck, because no, right? The two that they're streaming are Ultraman Neos and Ultraseven X. Ultraseven X was a little bit problematic in some ways, but I did enjoy it it was one of the first Ultraman series I ever saw. Now I can legally see it through Go90. Don't know how much Go90 costs, though, to be fair, so I have to be fair, I haven't done research on the price for it. If it's a free service with ads, that would be nice. If it isn't a free service with ads, I don't know how I'd feel. I have to see what else they have before I say, let's pay, $10 a month or something like that, right?
Right.
But yeah, so let's talk about Ultraman Neos. Now, Neos, very interesting show. I've seen it before. However, while I'm not advocating for piracy here, before it was legally available, it was available online via fan translations. And due to Mega Upload collapsing years ago, before Mega was made, I'm pretty sure all the files for Ultraman Neos were gone. And there were no backups. At least there seemed to be no backups. So now we can legally watch Ultraman Neos, and of course we can legally see Ultraman 7X. This is amazing. Like I said earlier in the podcast, super happy that Tokusatsu seems to be getting focused on now more than ever. Legally anyway. And I think it's great to not only give fans a choice on what they want to see and be able to have some fans legally see these shows, but also giving the original companies, like in this case, Subaraya, money. Because I know some people try to say, oh, but these companies, they have this money, yada, yada, yada. But you know what? Let's look at it like this, right? We like these shows, right? We want these shows to be released with English subtitles. Not every fan is going to be able to jump up and translate an entire 12-episode series, 25-episode series, 50-episode series. Now, Neos and Ultraseven X are 12 episodes each to be our series, as a whole, right? So basically, 12 episodes one, 12 episodes the other. Not so bad, to be fair. A lot of other Ultraman shows follow the Super Sentai Kamen Rider format, where they're like 50 episodes each. That's a lot, and Crunchyroll has some of those 50-episode ones, and that's a lot to undertake. Both if you're a fan trying to fan translate it, or if you are a company trying to translate it. But my whole point is, I know people try to talk about corporations having all this money. Why do we need to give them money? I'm not even saying we're not even paying for DVDs here, right? If Go90 is a free service with ads, then you have to sit through a few ads. And Subaraya goes, wow. Both Go90 and Subaraya goes, wow, there's money in this. I guess people in the U.S. really do want to see Tokusatsu. Which
it is.
Yeah,
you can. It's a free to stream. Well, no. doesn't require fees to stream its
Okay,
content.
that's awesome then. So
And it has an Android app and an official website. So
okay, so then I might get it on my phone, might check it out. Maybe we could do a review. I don't know, because I mean, it's funny. We don't really do reviews of that stuff here. We just talk about all the different services and how cool they are. Because again, we get to legally see these shows, and I think here's the thing too. By the way, if some of you are watching or listening and you're coming from an anime perspective, you might sit back and think, "But Matt, there's always going to be someone fan translating something on the internet. Like, dude, there's always going to be someone." But I think you have to talk to more people, or at least listen to me, from the Tokusatsu community. Understand that it's a very, very small community. Yes, it's worldwide. So once you open the gates up to, like, oh, hey, Brazil, the fandom explodes, right? Once you open up to different areas, yes, the fandom does explode. But when it comes to English-speaking fans, it's a minority, right? It's a very small group. So it's not like, so when because I think back in the day when people remember the idea of speed subbing before Crunchyroll was very large, and there was, in the anime fandom, it was like, oh, one show gets like 4 groups. And, one group was the group that like, hey, you know what? It takes 5 days, but it's super duper quality. And then the other 3, maybe even 4 other groups were like, this episode aired Saturday at 12:59 a.m. We're gonna get this out by Saturday, freaking like 1. Like that was a minute turnover. Yes, it was a minute turnover. Speed subbers were crazy. They were going nuts, and I mean crazy like in a like passionate way, right? So they would go nuts to be able to get this out the soonest they could, right? When it comes to Tokusatsu, at the most, when it comes to quote-unquote speed subbing, you get 2 groups, and it takes them both 3 days. And it's not due to a lack of passion. It's due to a lack of time. It's due to a lack of, people in the community who can help in a way looking for, translating and stuff like that. So again, not advocating for piracy here, just trying to let people know that we don't have a dedicated Tokusatsu streaming service like Crunchyroll. When that happens one day, then we can, like look back and talk about it like, oh, hey, well, like the way we do anime now, right? But because we don't have one, that's what I'm trying to explain to some anime fans out there who might be thinking, like, there's always going to be someone who's going to translate it. And that's simply not true with the Tokusatsu community. And more importantly, with, like, there's a lot of Tokusatsu shows out there, but compared to anime, obviously there isn't, right? There's more anime than there is Tokusatsu. But still, you'll have, a bunch of different groups come out of the woodworks to try to translate a show from the 70s, from the 80s, from the 90s. And as a Tokusatsu fan, I sit back and think, oh, I've been in the fandom now on and off for since 2009. So at this point, it's nearly 10 years. Good God, I'm old. Please help me. But the point is that I've been nearly 10 years. Right, Tristan? And despite it being nearly 10 years, there are still some shows in that 10-year mark that were never picked up. And you know how many shows there are. There's a finite amount. A chunk, yes. I'm not trying to say... And again, 50 episodes, and, that's a lot of work. And by the way, what's it called? No translations, because when it comes to anime, a lot of them get re-aired with captions. Some Tokusatsu get aired with captions, so that, but some don't. So you have to translate it by ear.
Right.
So you have to translate old live-action, dubbed-over shows by ear. That's rough for 50 episodes. These fans are doing this, taking on this undertaking. So I think what I'm trying to get at here is that, it's not like anime, right? It's not, 5 groups wanting to do one show, trying to go... I mean, the most we ever had on one show that I can remember that we're doing it, consecutively were 3. The most. And even then, one would drop out every year. Right. And it was funny, because it was always like, that one's going to drop out again. And they were like, we are not... How dare you? And then they did. Because that's the thing, people, it's hard to do something on a weekly schedule like that when you're not being paid. These are fans. They're not being paid to do this. But yeah, and this shows that, again, been a fan of for 10 years. Some of them were started, fan translations were started for it 8 years ago. they're still going.
Right.
People are still translating it 8 years down the line. Obviously dedication, yes, but also just shows the limited amount of resources. Because it's just, and again, I'm not trying to sit here and in any way shame the community. Like, you have to stop being like, no, I'm not trying to do that. I'm just, because I'm not a translator. Who the hell am I, right? To be like, how dare you? Like, no, I'm not a translator. I don't have the skills to do that, right? I'm just saying that for anyone out there thinking, like, why is this a big deal, right? I just want to explain to you guys, like, it's a big deal because these shows, up until now, either had fan translations, some great, some shoddy. They had Hong Kong translations. For any of you anime fans out there who can think of the Yu-Gi-Oh!, the bad Yu-Gi-Oh! Subs that were out for a while, of the original Duel Monsters and GX, it was a bit like that. Like, I remember there was one line in a Kamen Rider show. The line was basically trying to say, don't bother the lawyer. Don't bother this guy, who happens to be a lawyer, right? Do you want to know what it ended up being translated to? Have I ever talked to you about this, Tristan?
I'm pretty sure.
The line was, don't molest the lawyer.
Right, yep. Yep, there it is.
There it is. There it is. Also, there's also, I think it was a Kamen Rider queer guy. Was one, or like, you're a queer guy, or like, I'm a queer guy. There was Kamen Rider Black Man. Because there's a Kamen Rider called Kamen Rider Black.
Right.
And the Hong Kong subs were like, Kamen Rider. It's like, oh, it's Black Man. And I was like, that is seemingly insensitive. On many levels.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just want to explain that to some people who are like, why does this matter? This is why it matters, right? Fan translations, some good, some bad. Some overseas translations that were pretty bad. And anything that was legal was called Power Rangers, right? With some sprinklings of like Kamen Rider Dragon Knight or Masked Rider or some other adaptations. So we couldn't get official stuff until Shout Factory really started bringing in the Zero Ranger subs and, obviously other stuff since then. So kudos to them. Kudos to Crunchyroll. If you guys don't know, they're currently airing the newest Ultraman every week. Just like they are with their newer anime shows.
Nice.
It's fucking amazing. Yeah, like, do I watch it? No. Why? I'm a bad human being. It's just that simple. But I can still marvel at it just the same, So Tristan, that's my explanation to you because you didn't take it seriously. I'm kidding. Tristan obviously knows this is fucking cool. Right? Right, Tristan?
Yeah.
Better.
I feel like I'm being held at gunpoint right now.
He can't see me on camera.